Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk episode 255, taking it out 2022. Mr. Jake Brown, you might know him as 72 Okra _CST or even Gold City Trucks. From all the way up north, representing the Pacific Northwest and the K10 community, Mr. Jake Brown.
JF Customs, I used to work for him up there, and he told me when I opened up shop, he goes, "You're a really nice guy, and you got to find out how to be mean." And it's kind of like, what? That sounds wrong, but it's true. If you're nice, people can walk all over you, and you don't realize how people are until, they show you.
Damn, son. Seeing is believing, and our title sponsor, United Pacific, makes seeing a whole lot easier. The crispness of the United Pacific LED headlights, taillights, marker lights, and more makes seeing and showing your truck that much better. It's time to upgrade your old dim halogens for new LED headlights, taillights, and more. They offer the brightest and latest LED technology. Headlights are available up to 1,600 lumens, easy to install, and it fits right in the OEM housing. How about upgrading to sequential taillights? They're DOT approved and ready to ship today. DOT approved. And for you 73 to 80 GMC and Chevy square body guys, they've got the new front parking lights, LED with stainless steel bezel. Think UP Car Parts. That's upcarparts.com.
Let me tell you what Melba's Toast is packing right here. All right, we've got 411 Posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man is a television repairman. Got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth clapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
$255. Come on. Here we go. Wrapping it up, 2022, the last episode. We're going big on this one. K10 talk, K20 talk, fire truck talk, all the way up Pacific Northwest, all the way. Damn near Canada. Mr. Jake Brown coming at you guys. So, hopefully everybody had a very Merry Christmas. I wanted to get this one out before Christmas. Jake and I sat down and we put it on vinyl, but I didn't get it out. I'm slacking. So getting it out to you guys in between Christmas and New Year's. So hopefully everybody got what they wanted. You got some cool truck parts, maybe some cool gear. I got some big truck parts for my Duramax, which is cool. Things getting a little older. Needs a little more love. It's crazy to think that I've got an 07 Classic. The damn thing's coming up on 17 years old. So blows my mind. But we've got some new stuff. So if you remember from the Get Down, the Doja mats, we did the tan square body, and everybody was like, oh, we need the red, we need the blue, we need the gray. Well, we're making them. So red, blue, gray, square body. We've got the tan already, but the Doja mat floor mats. And we do have the C10 Nation, and then we have the 1972. And Doja mats has plenty of other selection as well. One that they have, it's kind of cool. It's Shitbox, a little funny. So the square body ones, though, they will, we have the tan, but the red, the blue, and the gray will be available. Pre-order now if you want to jump on board. I'd highly recommend it. Obviously, it's a limited number, and then they'll be shipped out late January. So if you're looking for a cool gift for yourself and or your truck, and you need tan, blue, gray, or red, we've got you. Square body Doja mats. Check it out. Hit them up. DOJAMATS. You can go to dojamats.com. Retro mats done right. Pretty awesome. So, all right, Mr. Jake Brown. Love what they have going on up there in the Pacific Northwest. He's got a good group of guys. A lot of K10s, some Blazers, K5s, K20s. Like I said, he's got a fire truck, a big old GMC I guess, one of two. So it's good to get him on the pod. Younger guy, which is super cool because, you know, the movement is continuing. So thanks for sitting down with us and spreading the love, sharing your story, man. I do appreciate it. All right, 2023 is less than a week away. It's crazy. We're going to have a jam-packed year. Starting it off on January 1st, 1/1 at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So AZ time at 1 o'clock, we are going to open registration for the second reunion. 5-story. We did it last year. The parking garage, the park, the people. Everything's going to be going off. Again, we're going to cap it this year at 500 trucks. Last year we did 350. We're going to do 500. So on January 1st at 1 o'clock, MST, boom, hit it up, reuniontruckshow.com, reuniontruckshow.com. It's that easy. Now, later that day, January 1st at 5 Central. So for the boys out there in Texas, C10's in the park, they're going to open theirs up. I think he's been limiting it to like 1,000, maybe 1,200. I know there's been some snafus and some things that he's worked through. That one, you have got to be locked and loaded. Locked and loaded. Not saying you don't for the reunion, but it's C10's in the park. I mean, come on. So, 1 o'clock, reunion, Mountain Standard Time. 5 o'clock, CST. I think that's like, I have to say it's probably 3 o'clock for us at Mountain Standard Time here for that one. I don't want to confuse you because I'll get confused when I start figuring it out. So just know that at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, AZ time, we are going to open things up. The second reunion, downtown Chandler. It's all going off. We've got the hotel across the street, which is the San Marcos Resort. Long drives and dope rides, which is Poise Hipster Mike. He's got San Marcos Golf Course reserved. So on Friday, anybody wants to come in, you want to play around a golf, right there at the resort, which is right across the street from where the show's going to be. Boys are going to get together, play some golf. You get your 2-day hotel over there at the San Marcos Resort. You literally can walk to the show. I mean, it's right there. You probably throw a baseball. If you got a really good arm, you can make it happen. All right, wishing you guys all a very happy new year. Peace out 2022. Bring on 2023. Take care, guys. Be safe. Stay out of trouble. Do what you do. Late. What's up? What's up? C10 Nation coming at you from Pacific Northwest all the way up. He just told me he's about a mile from Canada. That just shows you how far he is. Mr. Jake Brown, you might know him on the old IG social interwebs, 72 Okra _ CST Custom Sport Truck. Jake, you got it bad, man. I love watching you. You are a big 67 to 72 guy. The Okra bug, those colors, your dad. I don't know what happened there, man, but we are going to have a good time getting to know Jake Brown. So thanks for taking time to be on the podcast, dude.
Well, hey, Ronnie, thanks for having me, man. I'm really happy to be here. Really happy to be here. It's pretty cool.
So before we went on air, I pushed the little record button. He's telling me where he lives in Washington. He lives in Oroville. It almost sounds like a Superman movie where Superman lands. And then he continues to tell me how he doesn't even have a stoplight in his town. And then how far do you have to go to the closest movie theater or stoplight or civilization? How far?
It's an hour away. It's an hour away. The closest Walmart's an hour away. Closest McDonald's is an hour away. So yeah,
that's not a bad thing. The Walmart might be kind of, so when you just like randomly need something, I mean, do you got a parts store there? I mean, are you and the parts guy like on a first name basis at the counter?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a really good Napa in town. It's actually my uncle that runs it. So I luck out with the parts, but anything other than that, it's like kind of a challenge sometimes. But
so is this a family town? Like, did you grow up in this town?
Yeah, I did. I was born and raised here, and just excuse me, actually, I was born in Canada and raised here, and I never got away, I guess. But the only reason to really stay here, there's a lake. There's a really nice lake that the town is, huddled around, and that's the cool part about Oroville is Lake Asuyas. But I don't know, maybe it's not smart enough to get away.
Well, it's cool because obviously you have gotten away in the perspective of social media, and that's one cool thing about the world we live in. Social media has a lot of negatives to it, but it has a lot of positives too, and the connection and everything that, when I look back and how long I've been following you and what you guys do, it's obviously a family affair. Dad had the bug, and you, I feel like, just don't know anything but sitting in that passenger seat of an old 67 to 72 Chevy truck just growing up. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Jake Brown and how you got the bug so bad?
Well, it's kind of funny because growing up, we dad was always a motorhead, and I had no choice, so I was kind of brainwashed into it. And we played Corvettes a lot. It was kind of more of a Corvette thing growing up, and we always had one truck. We just had one. It was Big Red, the truck I have now, and it was kind of weird. It kind of almost bit both of us at the same time. I mean, that was just his old truck, for driving around firewood. It was just his daily driver, just an old truck, And he got the kick to fix it up, and he kind of started to go right down the rabbit hole. And then it wasn't too long after I got my Blazer, my 72 Blazer, and the rest is history. And I don't think there's a recovery. I don't know, man. It's pretty bad. It's great, but I don't gotta say it, man. I'm truly addicted, and ever since I got that Blazer, it just I don't know, man. It's just kind of funny. I played cars before this and been in the car, world, and my first job was a body shop and stuff, and I had an El Camino I fixed up when I was in high school, and really liked cars and liked all sorts of them. But after I got that Blazer, it just it bit me pretty good, and I just that's all I. Well, it just sounds a little funny, but it's about all I care about when it comes to automotive. It's just these trucks, they're just really addicting. But
Yeah, for sure it is. It's that's one thing that when I think back to even the forum days is, I'd sit there and just get on the forum, and it was a connection to the outside world, and it was a connection to other people that were crazy like me that just loved 67 to 72s. Obviously, back in the day, man, I was a 71, 72 guy, and Okra was even better. My first truck, Okra and white, two-tone 72, K10, four-wheel drive, woo, 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 all that good stuff, right? That was my one, and then I finally got my orange little shorty that I have. I still have it, my C10, but it's kind of like a connection of other people who are fanatics and obsessed about these trucks. And then the forum was kind of a connection to that. And now that social media and everything that we do now is like, it's totally normal to have 5, maybe 10 trucks. And people are like, what the hell's wrong with you? And you're like, what do you mean? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, there's people who are much worse, I swear.
Yeah. These guys make me feel great about myself. Hey, babe, look at this guy. Look at what he posted. He's got 20 trucks.
Yeah. Yeah, he brought home another rusty one. See, can I do the same thing? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of rusty ones. I assume in Washington, now I know you have some client builds and some different things like that, and we'll get into your company and what you've been able to do. But how do you find these things up there? It seems like, are they all kind of a little wet?
Well, no. See, that's the kind of misconception is Washington, gets kind of branded by Seattle and the wet side of Washington, the western side of the state, when over here is a high desert. It's a high desert and a lot of dry trucks. Now we do get weather though too, so it kind of depends on what they were used for and what kind of life they lived and how well they're taken care of. But a lot of the trucks around here, they're fairly dry. As far as like the my dog's trying to bug me here. Lay down, but they're fairly dry. As far as kind of the outside and whatnot goes. But a lot of times with the snow and the mud and everything, the inside of the cab will kind of be more the rusty area from the top down, not from the bottom up like a salt state truck. We've never really been a salt state here, and so you get kind of all different kinds here in Washington. You get ones that are really solid. You can tell it's just sat out in the desert and it's just sun baked. It looks like an Arizona truck. It's just baked. The interior is all falling apart, but solid as can be. Solid as a rock. No more original paint left on the top side of it. But it's just a good solid truck. Then you'll get another one from the wet side that's literally eaten from the inside out. From that coastal air. So it's kind of a grab bag. But saying that, I really feel this is true. There is more of these trucks here in Washington State than anywhere else in the world. I really feel that's true.
I do feel that way here in Arizona too. I feel like Arizona, New Mexico, obviously Colorado. There's a lot of those. I said my wife was like, "You treat everyone like it's the last one," and I'm like, "It could be. You just don't know." And it turns out they made a shit ton of these trucks.
They did. They truly did. I know it's funny you say that. Just the other day, my brother-in-law. I'm lucky. I never. I just have a sister. Love her to death, but I never had a brother. But the guy she married is a super cool guy, and happens to be. He's super into these trucks too, and he's got it just as bad as I do. And not from hanging out with me and Dad. He had it before. Him and his dad are in these trucks as well. And I picked up a '68 GMC 3/4 ton long bed, two-wheel drive, big block, factory air, cool truck a while back.
Is that the yellow one that you put the 10, 20, 40 pounds of sand in?
No, that one's my Longhorn. That one's my shop truck.
Oh my God, that thing. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's a good old one too. But yeah, I sold him this GMC years ago, and he was thinking about kind of thinning the herd a little bit. He's like, well, hey, I think maybe selling the GMC. And then after we talked for about 5 minutes, we came to the same conclusion. No, you can't. It might be the last one, or what about in 5 years? We might be kicking ourselves for, think of even getting rid of that thing, So yeah, it's kind of funny. It's the same way here. My wife's like, how many do you need? It's like, well, I don't need any of them, but I sure do like them.
So what does your wife think about this? I mean, she kind of married into the craziness, and obviously with the support of your brother-in-law, your dad, your brother-in-law's dad. I mean, it's a beyond family affair, and you guys are just living your best 67 to 72 dream over there.
Yeah, no, it's kind of funny you say that. So the first year we started dating, me and my wife, I was driving my Blazer a lot back then, my 72 Blazer, and the OG, I call it the yellow one. And we had a lot of fun times in that truck that first summer we started dating, and it kind of got a little closer to Christmas. I was kind of saying, hey, I really wanted to get her something of her own, because she was kind of even though she was enjoying it and driving the truck and whatnot, she was kind of a bystander, I wanted her to have her own thing, And so I said, if you wanted one of these trucks, what would you want, And of course she goes, I want a Blazer. I'm like, okay, great, wonderful. The expensive one. I'm like, okay, she wants a Blazer. And I was like, well, what color would you like if you had a choice, And she goes, well, I like the greens. I like the dark olive and the medium olive, And I was like, okay, sounds good, And I started searching. Well, 2 days later, I came home with 2 medium olive Blazers. And it was just a fluke deal like that. I just happened to find 2 right up the road, and that's how we got her little Blazer. And it's still a little rust bucket, needs lots of cosmetic work done to it and whatnot, but done a lot of mechanical work to it. We've all done it together. She's gotten her hands dirty and greasy, and done a lot of work herself. So it's really cool. I have a really good time sharing the hobby with my wife, and she's a really good sport about it. She absolutely is.
Yeah, and I think it's a great way, like you said. What would you want, babe? And let me see if I can find it. And now she has her own ownership. So I think for a lot of guys out there, if you can pull it off and you've got the room, the money, and you can get your, and some wives don't want any part of it. And they're like, nah, I don't want any part of it. I like riding shotgun with you. I don't want to deal with it. No problem. But hey, if your wife's down and she wants a Jeep, get her a Jeep. She wants a Bronco, get her a Bronco. She wants a Blazer, get her a Blazer. It doesn't matter, but it is pretty cool when you do get to see some people at shows, some families, some husband and wife, and sure. I don't know if kids are in the forefront or in the future for you guys, little future Blazer drivers and owners, but yeah, it makes it a fun deal, man.
It does. It was funny because she kind of just being around me with it, she obviously realized I like these things a lot, and I'm really into these trucks. But what kind of got it for her was we were working on it. We had to put a transmission in it, so we got a new tranny in it. We built the front end, got a lift kit on it, and got to where she was driving it around, that first summer. And it was then that she kind of realized that these things are cool. I mean, she just was taking my word for it and kind of enjoying it with me beforehand. But when she started driving it, herself, and she'd be at the gas station and someone say, "Oh, cool truck," and she's kind of like, "What, this thing's cool?" Like, you know what I mean? So it was kind of funny, because she kind of came back and she's like, there was like 4 people that stopped me at the gas station today asking about the Blazer. I was like, see, I told you. So she's like, it kind of started to click with her. She's like, all right, I guess my husband's just not crazy. I guess these things are kind of cool, you know?
Well, and
But,
apparently in Oroville, there's probably only 8 people there. So half the city or half the town is reaching out to Chelsea and saying, hey,
yeah.
rad Blazer, by the way. And you're like, shit, I just have to, I'm going to run for mayor now.
Yeah. It was funny to say that because being here and playing these trucks so much, and I've got some really good friends, a lot of car guys and whatnot. And a lot of them, end up kind of getting one of these trucks from me or something like that at some point. There's quite a few trucks per capita here in Orville, and I'm kind of partially to blame, so it's kind of funny because people come here, or a lot of times like someone will come, to buy something from me, to buy a part or a truck or something like that. They're like, I saw like 3 trucks my way in, and I was like, oh yeah, there was a blue, and I was like, that's Jeff's truck, and then there was a red, all that, it's just kind of funny because there's a lot around here for how many people live here, just because of me, I guess. It's all my fault.
Yeah, you and obviously, like you said, your dad contributed when he had his truck. And then, so walk us through that. You guys decide to rebuild the truck, and then from there, how did it progress? How did that obsession, that passion, that I guess it's kind of a knowledge creates confidence. Confidence is like, oh, I love this. Now I know about this. Now I know about this. And you guys just kind of more and more. And then where did you guys just go to social media? Have you ever jumped on the old 67 to 72 forum and kind of played around with that and then deep dive into some more of those builds?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny you asked about the forum because I'm actually not on there, but I have to be the biggest snoop. You know what I mean? I've been on there for hours, but I never made a profile, and I'm just kind of not very computer savvy. But I enjoy the forum. The forum's awesome. There's so much good information and awesome. And I mean, it's a great place. I mean, just for pictures of these trucks, you know what I mean? If you go down there, you want to see what your truck looks like with these wheels, something like that, that is the place. You go on there and there's so many pictures and, on there in the archives and just different posts and threads and whatnot. It's pretty cool. But as you were saying, the Big Red was the truck, and that's the one we had forever, and Dad kind of got the idea. He wanted to fix it up. I was in high school at the time, and I was kind of playing with my El Camino, so I was kind of hanging out with him, helping him with it a little bit. But it was kind of funny you asked that because first off, we decided the first thing you do to build a truck is get a parts truck, right? Well, we went and got a parts truck. Well, then we got another parts truck. And it's kind of like that meme with the
one parts leads another parts truck, and then you got another parts truck, and more parts trucks,
and then more, and then we get 4 more parts trucks. It was like that, and pretty soon there was a dozen trucks sitting around, and we haven't even torn apart the truck we're going to fix up yet, And then he got a Blazer, and I got a Blazer. Oh, it just kind of kept on going. So it's kind of funny because that was almost 10 years ago. Well, just this last year he finished that build. He built a Blazer.
Finished now.
Yeah. Well, he fixed up a Scout for my mom. That was her granddad's in between. He fixed up a Blazer in between, sold that. He's playing around with some other stuff. He's got a 55 Bel Air he's playing around with. So it was kind of funny because the truck kept getting pushed to the back burner, even though it was the first and foremost, at the start. But he just finished it, and it turned out really nice. It's just a nice driver quality, K20. But Big Red, the truck that was originally this one slated to be rebuilt, got kind of pushed to the side. It was just a half ton, had half ton axles, and he got a 3/4 ton, and he wanted that more. And so he kind of turned 2 trucks into one, and kind of Big Red got almost kind of parted out and pushed aside. Well, it was years later, acquiring more parts and more this and more that. And I was really needing a truck, a truck to do truck things and tow a trailer around and whatnot. And so I kind of said, hey, Dad, what do you think about me fixing up old Big Red? He's like, what, that thing? And I was like, yeah. And so I ended up, stuffing a motor in it. I switched to a 4-speed and just a kind of a little quick, little dirty build, and got her back on the road, and it's been put back to work ever since. It's just the same old truck it kind of always was. It never got fixed up in the end, I guess. It just got put back to work, I guess is the short story long. But yeah, that's Big Red. It's a cool truck.
Well, I think that you like, when you think about it, it's the one that started it all for you guys. So it's not going anywhere. The other thing that just makes you normal for all of us is, and I got to think you got it bad, but it's like, well, I kind of have this vision for, let's just say, Big Red, or I got this vision for Chelsea's Blazer, or I got this vision. And then it's like, well, what about this? And well, now we picked up this parts truck. So how do you keep it all straight? How do you keep, or try to keep, the straight and narrow and the grind just to finish one thing at a time? Or are you always working on 3 to 4 at a time?
Well, it's definitely hard. It has to be like, every guy who's into these trucks, probably their weakness is just having too many projects at once. And I'm absolutely, no different. And I've got one I've been working on for a long time. It's a 72 K20 Cheyenne Super. I'm in my shop here. I'm sitting here staring at it, and I haven't touched it, and I haven't probably touched it in about 2 years. And so it's just one of those things. It's I am my own worst enemy. I buy too many projects and too much other junk, and so you only can build one at a time. I mean, as one guy, you can only do one at a time. And so you got to kind of pick and choose, and it costs a lot of money to fix them up. It absolutely does. So it's kind of you got to kind of, you know what I mean, choose this or choose that. And
well, I think it used to be a little cheaper, right? I mean, I think, and you're doing most of the work, if not all of the work. It used to be a little cheaper, so that was kind of one thing. And people don't realize now. I mean, again, I use the example of I work with 220 different fire guys at work, and they'll ask me about stuff, and it's so funny because I got one guy in particular. For 8 to 10 years, he's been talking to me about buying a truck, and he just never did because it's always like, oh, it's too much, it's too much. Well, back then it was 4,000 to 6,000. Now I'll see, and then there was time where it was 6 to 8, and then there was a time where it was 8 to 10, and then I'll be like, hey man, dude, you missed the boat, bro. Like they're 14 grand, and you were cheap when they were 6 grand, and you were too tight, and now they're 14 grand, and you ain't gonna buy it. So don't waste anybody's time, right? Oh no, I'm gonna buy these 2 trucks. I'm gonna do this. Well, I think the other thing that happens is I try to tell other guys that it's like, the truck has almost now become the cheapest part, right? When you break down the stuff and that's especially if you're paying, $80 to $120 an hour labor. If you're doing it all yourself and you can get out to the shop and you want that therapy and you want to do it and you accept that it's going to be a 3 to 5 year build, then that's the way to go.
Yes. No, it's kind of funny. You said that they're the guy that, really wants to get a truck. And it took me a while, but kind of observing after a while, I've seen these guys, a lot of times you see on Facebook. Facebook's always got this, like, the best content, right? And there's this truck for sale, and here come all the naysayers and the pricing Nazis, coming out to, that's too much, or that's too little, or that's too this, and it's kind of funny because I watched it, started playing with these trucks. People are always going to complain. It's like, guys always complaining. He's going to complain. It could be $1,500. He's going to be, oh, it should be 500, and it's just, those are the people who are never going to get one. It sounds kind of mean to say it, but you got to pay to play. It's cool stuff, these trucks, and they're getting to be, pretty expensive, or, pretty sought after and valuable. And so I'll be honest. I mean, there's a lot of times now where I'm priced out of them. I don't have the money to buy them, because it's like, shoot, there was a lot of money now. And I used to pick up, Blazers for $1,500, and those days are long gone, way long gone. And so, I mean, he's got to adjust to it. I love him enough that, hey, okay, now we're paying $8,500 for that same rusty Blazer, and it's like, well, okay, it's what it is. Either you're doing it or you're not. And it's funny because those guys are still complaining now. You're right. Are the ones complaining years ago when it was $2,000 for that same truck, and
yeah, and that's happened to all of us too. I mean, I feel like you have to have, you almost have to have like short-term memory loss, because if you remember that they were 6,000 and then you see it for 8,000, then you're like, well, I'm not going to buy that because I used to be able to get that for 6,000. Cool. Well, you're not going to get it at 8,000 either. And then when it's 10,000, you're going to be saying, why the fuck didn't I buy it at 8,000?
Yeah, no, it's funny, man. It's you see it pretty often. You definitely do. And it's just kind of like.
Tell us how you went from slinging beer to running your shop. What's the story with that? When you're looking for classic Chevy or GMC truck parts, BrothersTrucks.com is your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration parts. So whether you are restoring an original or looking to customize that classic truck, BrothersTrucks.com has thousands of the highest quality truck parts for you to choose from. So head over to BrothersTrucks.com and order your free catalog today. And don't forget to follow Brothers on Facebook and Instagram. for daily updates and special offers too.
Since the 1960s, US Mags has held the title for the longest-running custom wheel tradition. Experience the wheels that made history and set the trends for American truck culture for decades to come. From cast wheels to full custom 1- and 2-piece forged wheels, US Mags keeps you and your truck in mind with every new design and model. Our cast wheel series are designed specifically for Chevy trucks and are stocked and ready to ship, giving you the wheels you need when you need them with perfect fitment. Set your ride apart with our custom forged wheels, available in just about any finish and fitment desired. US Mags are guaranteed to distinguish your style and attitude from the rest.
Hey guys, I've got Andrew from Painless Wiring on. Andrew, what's the latest?
Just working on producing these GM truck harnesses. They're our best moving vehicle specific, and we're just, super excited to be able to service such a great community of truck guys.
Made in the USA. You guys are probably cranking them out nonstop. A ton of our audience is out there buying these trucks, building these trucks, and they know, hey, Painless Performance has got me taken care of.
Factory options, aftermarket stuff. If you have any questions, call our tech guys. They'll walk you through anything you need to know, and we'll make sure your truck gets wired up right the first time.
If you want to clean up your underdash, you want to clean up your chassis, it's that easy. Painlessperformance.com, painlessperformance.com. Thanks, Andrew. Tell us how you went from slinging beer to running your shop. What's the story with that?
Well, I'd always been in the automotive industry, since the early age. And, first job right out of the gate was at a body shop and auto body, guy by trade. And I played around a little bit and did a few other things. Well, I got on with a local, a Budweiser distributor, and went and worked that for a few years. And it was the year of COVID, and I just couldn't take it anymore. I mean, I just... the monkeys in your back, the big corporate job, and it just was pushing me aside. I had to do something. So I was going to go get a job somewhere else or try to open a shop. And it happened to be that just a couple miles down the road from my house, this place came up for rent. And I know the landlord real well, good friend of mine. And it was like, you know what? I'm quitting my job and I'm opening a shop. And that's what I did. I just went for it. And I've been here a couple years now and still new and fresh at a lot of things. But it's been good. It's been good. Honestly, I can't complain to you at all tonight about it.
You can, good. But nobody's going to listen.
That's right. Yeah, we're not here for that.
So tell us, what do you guys specialize in? And if you think about it, were there things that you had to learn, not only as an owner, but, if you're a body guy by trade, you're working at a beer distributor, walk us through some of that. I mean, there's probably a lot of the listeners who would like to take that leap. They would like to take a leap of leaving corporate America. And, there's no better time than now. If you think about it, you can always go back to corporate America. That's one thing about corporate America. Now, you might not have the 2 to 3 to 5 years of benefits or whatever the seniority that you lost, but you will have the know that you tried your dream, and one or two things are going to happen. You're going to succeed, or you're going to be back in corporate America.
Yeah, or no matter what, you're going to learn a lot. And it was kind of, you always kind of hear, oh, you never know how hard it is till you try it. It's true. It's tough. It's very, a lot more mentally, you got to get in there, and you got to go in there, and, you got to find self-motivation. It's all on you. You're the boss, you're the bookkeeper, if that's how it's going to be, you're starting out by yourself, you're everything, so there's no more monkeys in your back, but man, you got to find that motivation. So, that's definitely part of it. And one of the best pieces of advice I got starting out was from my old boss and mentor, JF Lanier, from Canada, JF Customs. I used to work for him up there. And he told me when I opened up shop, he goes, you're a really nice guy, and you got to find out how to be mean. And it's kind of like, what? That sounds wrong, but it's true. If you're nice, people can walk all over you, and you don't realize how people are until, they show you, and so kind of the old thing, nice guys finish last, and it ain't all bad like that, but you have to be assertive, and you have to, not let people walk all over you. And so that was something I did at first, and I was doing jobs for cheap and, bidding stuff and letting people complain about this or that, every little thing, and giving too many deals, and, and the month comes by, you're going, oh God, how much money? I didn't make any money. And I've been here, every single day, so it's just like, it's not about just being mean and, putting your business first and, bending people over. But one thing you have to kind of be in charge, and, I think I've always kind of been a people person. So I had that kind of naturally. And so I kind of had to learn how to, you got to kind of be the big dog. If you're going to run the shop, you got to do it, and not let people walk all over you. So that was kind of a hard thing for me, because before I would say I would be try to be a people pleaser, and if you try to be a people pleaser, some people are going to, put you to too extreme levels, to even, you can't even succeed what they want you to do.
Well, and you almost have to have like this is my set of rules. This is my 10 commandments that I run by, and this is how I run my shop. You got to put this much down. You can't just leave your vehicle here if so many things. And another thing too, I remember talking to a buddy of mine, and he was a little frustrated with a customer one time. And I just told him, I was like, dude, you do realize it's out of sight, out of mind. If you reach out to somebody, for the most part, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'll send you the money, or, oh yeah, I'll give you some direction. Because it's just completely out of sight, out of mind. People get so busy in the world that we live in, and they're like, oh shit, I forgot I got a truck over at Jake's place, and I didn't even realize it.
Yes, I will say one thing that is kind of funny. I do think a lot of people think that, sometimes it looks like it's just a big hobby to me, and it is. It's kind of bad. It's my only hobby. I don't do anything else. I don't go hunting. I don't go fishing. I don't, I'm not a sports guy, or anything like that. And I just like these trucks. It's really all I do, and so it is a hobby to me, but then it's also a way of living. This is how I put, food on the table, and pay my bills and whatnot. So I got to kind of remember that at the end of the day too. But that being all said, I've got some really good customers in here now. And JF even told me, he goes, it will take some time. It's going to take a couple of years, and you'll get some customers. They will find you, So after kind of some, few rocky roads and learning lessons here and there, I got to where I'm at now, and I've got a shop full of a bunch of trucks getting built here, and some really cool customers, and I'm really happy where I'm at, and so no complaints on what's going on right now. It's great, honestly. It is.
So you kind of answered it a little bit. You got a shop full of trucks. Is Gold City Trucks just primarily trucks, and do you do any cars, and what level of restoration or builds are you doing?
Well, just trucks, and just 67 to 72 Chevrolet and GMC. It took a little minute to get to that point. I was doing a few other things, auto detailing, and a lot more local work, at first. But being so far up here, I mean, there's only I've had 2 local trucks in here, trucks that are from the area that I've been working on, doing jobs and whatnot too. There's no other trucks around. There's just not enough people here, So basically everything here is, from far away, and so it took a minute, and it all kind of came at once this last year. Had a lot of customers come on and get their trucks sent out, and so got a mountain of work here. There's only a few local trucks around, so I only had a few, they kind of came to me the first little bit and did a few things on, and there's no local trucks. So it took a minute to get that outside, business in, and social media is the guy's best friend for that. That's how I'm here, and that's how I can do this, So I've got a shop full of trucks from far away, basically. I've got Ben, Engineered Vintage, Ben Kohler, Big Ben. Got his truck I'm looking at right now, actually, his K30 build for his company. It's coming along well. It's getting there. Looks like a truck finally. We're putting parts back on, so that's nice. Not taking things apart anymore. But I've got Jake from Louisiana. I've actually got 2 of his trucks here, and a pretty extensive build, both of them. A 71 K20 and a 71 Blazer waiting in the stables behind this one. I've got Adam here. Adam's a fellow fireman like yourself, and I've got his 72 K5 here, and it's a really cool truck. I'm really excited to get turn into this one a little bit more here really soon. It's a solid K5, just a cool truck, factory white, kind of a plain Jane, white bumper on white, 4-speed, 350 truck, just a cool truck. I mean, I'm a sucker for a Blazer. Those are the ones that, I don't know, trucks are cool, but Blazers are just extra, But anyways, yeah, Adam Lowry, his Blazer here. And a few other ones and whatnot, too. I got another local truck here, another K20 that I'm sure that this guy is – there's an elephant in the room, Ronnie, and I know we're going to talk about it at some point here tonight, and I know you're going to understand me. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's a great debate, and it's not even a debate. It's just – you know what it is, Ronnie? It's ice cream, and everybody has a favorite flavor. Everybody has their favorite flavor of ice cream, and some guys – they like chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. They're a Neapolitan guy. They like them all. You know what I mean? They like everything. I just like chocolate ice cream, and that's it. That's it. And I'm bad for it because I only like these trucks. What I was getting at here is Monty Vance, his 71 K20 sitting here, and he is a guy who bought one of these trucks new. He bought a 72 brand new from the dealership floor. He ordered, actually, excuse me, and he was just 21 years old. He was a meat cutter at Safeway. Same truck as yours, Okra and White, Cheyenne pickup. It was a K20. His was automatic, and he had that truck for a number of years. And he sold it, and he bought a square body, and he regretted it ever since. He said it was the worst thing he ever did in his entire life.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, no, I think without a doubt, I think eventually you'll find that you may not love the next gen or the next few gen, but you will love paying the bills. So what you'll find is that, and it sounds like right now, what's cool is you have people coming from all over the country, right, to send you their K20, their K10, their K5. So you've kind of made it to where your niche is that 4-wheel drive, NP205, whether it's a 12 bolt, a 14, obviously you've got it down, and people are noticing that, and they're saying, hey, I want Jake to work on my trucks.
Yeah, no, I know it feels kind of funny because a guy stopped by today, and I'm excited to be on here, and he's a good friend of mine in these trucks as well too. I was like, hey, I'm gonna be on a C10 Talk podcast, and he's like, you don't own a C10, and I was like, I guess I don't, because I don't, I don't have a C10, I don't have one, Well,
Dad does, right? Dad's got a short bed that's all calicoed out, so that counts.
Yeah, no, it does, right? Yeah, no, they're definitely around, and it's just kind of.
Well, that's actually probably one of my. If you could go back and I could pick out my favorite debate of my whole podcast career, I'm not going to run C10 Talk, K10 Talk, K20 Talk, K5 Talk, K this. I look at it like this, and I've said this for years. The cab, if your cab is the same, then your truck is the same. So it just happens to be the generic, I could call it classic 67 to 72 classic Chevy truck talk, whatever. It's so funny because I don't care if you got a grain truck and you got a C50. I don't care if you got a K20. I don't care what you got. But the bottom line is if it was built between 1959 on the 287th day or 1990, I guess on I guess those trucks, to be honest, are probably all built before because those were all carryovers, but I'll go to 90 for the last generation of square bodies. Then they're all C10s and we could talk about them.
Oh, absolutely. It's all the same love. That's what it is. And it's
exactly.
It doesn't have to be said. The best part is the people too. I mean, it's fun. You get going around and whatnot, and you realize, it was like earlier about the forum talk, there's people out there just like you and me and everybody, and that's what's so cool. It's this big community, and
I'll tell you, one of my favorite things about going to Barrett Jackson is at Barrett Jackson. So if we go to like Dino's, or I mean, if I go up to the Intervention or something like that, I'm going to see a handful of 4-wheel drives, but I'm going to see a lot more 2-wheel drives. When I go to Barrett, I think because the 4-wheel drives bring a little bit more money, and I also think that the older guys that are wanting those, let's say 67 to 72, I mean, 70 to 72, 4-wheel drive trucks, they might be a little older and they like those 4-wheel drives, but I love that I get to see the 4-wheel drives. I'd have to think about how many 4-wheel drives. I would almost even tell you that I probably have more 4-wheel drives than I do 2-wheel drives at my house. Yeah, cool. for sure. It's just funny how, and that's I mean, again, my first truck was a 72 K10. And then obviously I got my C10. I sold my K10, but I still have my C10. And in place of my K10, it's technically my son's, but it's a 72 K20. And I'm trying to get him to give it to me in the perspective of, I picked up an old 63 D100. And he wants that truck. He wants to build it, and it's a 2-wheel drive. He wants to. Cool. He loves it. It's a long bed and so on and so forth. But it's a swept line truck. It's probably a 9.2 on a 10 scale. It's as dry as can be. It's beautiful. Anyway, he's always hitting me up on it. I said, "Here's the deal. You want that truck? You can have it. I'll give you the title, and then you give me the title for the K20, because the K20 was my wife's grandpa's truck. And one day he called me and he said, "Hey, some old boy's wants to buy this, and it's up in the high desert, kind of in Arizona." And I said, "You know what? If he wants to buy it, I'll buy it. I want to give it to Payson at the time, my son."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, I'll just give it to you. I didn't know you would want it." I go, "Oh yeah. Well, then my son says, I kind of like this Papa's truck. Well, that's a 66 GMC, so a little different body style.
Sure.
So the 72 K20 is still sitting in the yard, sitting out back.
You got to send me some pictures of that. I didn't know you had that one.
I will. Yeah, there's a lot of junk I don't really post much of. I should really. It's a reason why I really like this truck is it is a K20. It is, and it's medium bronze and white two-tone.
Oh, cool. Yeah, double trim. Cool.
Yeah. I wish it was Cheyenne, but it's just a regular old K20. Not like I can't make it my own version of a Cheyenne 20, and that's probably what I would do.
For sure. Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that I had, I knew we were going to touch on it at some point probably here tonight. What would be the truck you would go back and order if you're going to order one brand new? For me, it's that. It's a 72 K20. That's the ultimate. That's the most truck they made in that year. It was the biggest, the 4-wheel drive. That's a truck right there. And that's pretty darn cool.
When I was a kid, I just talked to, so in the truck world, it's such a small world, but this guy, such a small world. I'll try to make this story fast for the audience. So there's a guy here local, he's into the trucks. So I see him at the pre-party show for the Get Down, and we're talking and so on and so forth. Well, his ex-father-in-law, or it's not ex-father-in-law, his father-in-law passed away. He had built a crew cab, and it's been in the magazine. It was a black and white crew cab, but it was a Suburban that was cut down, and it was made two-wheel drive crew cab. Okay, so that guy happened to do some work for me at a house that I built years in the back. Okay, so he tells me, he goes, "Hey, my father-in-law passed away. Well, my mother-in-law married this guy." And I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." And I'm like, I used to work for that guy when I was a kid. Well, I go, "You're never going to believe this guy used to have like all the cool trucks." And I'm telling this guy, Josh, I'm telling him the story, and he used to have, and I'm let's say 12 to 18 years old, where I'm going to his house. We do work for his company. He had a concrete company, made a lot of money. This guy is loaded. I'm talking off the charts loaded. And he's worked for it, company, Phoenix Concrete. He had a 72 GMC short bed Sierra Grande medium bronze.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
Second owner. And this truck sat, I don't remember hardly ever seeing it being driven. And I would just salivated over that truck. So it's funny when you think about what you would order if you could go. That is a great question. I'm going to steal that from you, and I'm going to use that question. If you can go to the dealership today, you can go to the dealership. What are you going to order? So let's reverse it. Tell me what you're going to order. Tell me what it's going to have. Tell me the color. Tell me what your SPID's what it's going to read.
Sure. No, I'm all about it. So it's funny you say that. There was a local truck here that kind of almost, the story kind of rides along the same track. In Willie, this guy's name, he still lives here and everything. He sold the truck. It was called the Rocket Ship. It was a local legend. This was back in the 80s and 90s. And it was a 1972 GMC K2500 Sierra Grande. And it was all dark olive, double trim, dark olive, 4-speed bucket seat truck. AC, all the stuff. And this is in the 90s when, people weren't, crazy about these trucks. People were buying new OBS trucks and lifting up those and building those trucks all, fancy and whatnot. And so he had this old rocket ship, they called it. And they just came out at the time. My dad tells me a story of this. He had a ZZ4 crate motor in that truck. So, it was a quick truck. It had a hot little small block in it, 4-speed, hot rod, sounded good and everything. And my dad always told me about this truck. I never got to see it, So to me, it's kind of this like elusive, like, oh man, that's the ultimate one, because just always hearing everybody's story about it. I play these trucks now, here at my shop here and everything. I'll have some old guy stop by and, "Well, you should have seen Willie Ennis's truck. It was the coolest one ever." the rocket ship, you know. So to me, I mean, it kind of always has to go back to the rocket ship. I mean, it's just that's the one, you know. I mean, that was the top dog around here. So
Too bad you
I mean,
can't find that truck. Is there any way to kind of see where it is now and see if you can't get a hold of it or check in on it?
He sold it and it went to Wenatchee, and we tried tracking it down there, and no luck, you know. And so, I mean, kind of in a way, I mean, it's not very impressive because I got a long ways to go, but my Cheyenne Super build here in the corner of my shop is the same thing. It's, you know, K20, 72 Chevy, you know, it'll be orange and white, you know, kind of the same thing, big lift, just a big old K20, you know. And so I kind of started building that truck as my rocket ship, I guess you could say, you know. And well, it ain't done yet.
So it's funny you say that, because you just kind of jogged another significant memory in my brain with these trucks.
Yeah.
And I bet I still have this somewhere in my locker at work or in a drawer at work. So it's just crazy. I had a picture, and I'm trying to think the magazine. God, I'm going to say Classic Trucks, Custom Classic or Classic Trucks. I had a picture in my locker at work of a 1971-72 orange and white 3/4 ton 4-wheel drive. And this guy's got kind of, I don't think they were rock crushers. They were, it's like American Eagle or an Eagle, and it just has like the 8 holes in it. They're real common, very, very common wheel. Anyway.
Well, yeah. They maybe were super single, weld super singles.
Yeah, they're not super single. I love super singles. My God. So they kind of look like maybe they were super singles, but yeah. But I feel like they were the bigger Eagle style wheels. But yes, love super singles. So anyway, that truck, I mean, I literally had it on my locker. So at work at the fire station, I'd open up the door, and there was this truck for years taped on this door of my locker. I'm going to find that. I'm going to post it, and I'm going to also send it to you, because I don't know what it was. I'd love to kind of see if there was a page or if there was something on that picture, so I can go back and find the article, because that is probably one of my top 10 of all time favorite trucks. And those 4-wheel drives, man, they get me. And this is the K20 that I have now. I mean, yeah, this isn't about me, it's about you, but I would love to have that K20 kind of resemble that truck for sure. So let's go back. I want you to tell me. I want to tell you to tell me what does your SPID say, and then I'm going to play a funner game. And I don't want to tell you that part of the game, because I know your brain's going to start thinking about what I'm telling you. So let's just build a few things. Let's go. Obviously, give me the year that you want.
72, man. It's got to be
okay.
72.
So 72. All right. Yeah. What trim package?
Let's go all the way to the top. Why not? Cheyenne Super. It's gonna be Cheyenne Super for me.
So what's funny about a Cheyenne Super is I always chased the Super. I wanted the Super. And I feel like you could probably tell us, but the only difference between a Cheyenne and a Cheyenne Super really is the wood grain on the bezel and the glove box. And then obviously you get a really fancy, nice emblem on your glove box door, but is there anything else? I don't recall that there is. Maybe a tack, and if they put the tack in, they would give you the wood grain. So is that really, because at the end of the day, I don't know that I love having Super on my fender. That's
so. It didn't mean anything else as far as tack was a separate option. There's one more thing that they would have, and it was in 71 they had a chrome tailgate handle.
Hey guys, I've got Joe Road, Classic Performance Products, CPP back. Joe, let's talk X10 spindles. Go.
Yeah, CPP's one of our most popular parts through the years has been our 2.5-inch drop modular spindles. Really popular part. Well, we've kind of taken that to the next step. We've emulated late model Corvette, Silverado, Chevy technology into our new X10 drop spindles. They use a steel hub, sealed bearing hub, really strong piece.
As you know, Joe, so many guys are building bigger trucks, bigger wheels, bigger brakes, everything bigger and better. Is this X10 something they should be considering?
Oh, absolutely. It's oversized bearings. Definitely great for a guy using big brakes, big wheels, which I'm sure all your guys are.
All right, guys, there you go. If you're looking to upgrade, you need a new spindle anyways, you're going to lower your truck, you're running a bigger wheel, a bigger brake. CPP's got it for you with their new X10 spindle. Joe, as always, thank you. CPP, classicperform.com. It's classicperform.com. Marquet has been in business for over 40 years. It all started in the original owner's garage. From humble beginnings of a couple parts in a garage to a 2-building manufacturing facility making over 6,000 parts, Marquet has grown to be one of the country's premier truck parts manufacturers. They not only design the products, but also design the tooling to build the products, guaranteeing quality control. They have made their original parts from the original trucks. Aluminum strips are double polished, creating a mirror finish, and crystal clear anodized. They offer quality parts built by Americans for old American-made trucks. So when you're looking for body moldings, bed strips, bed wood, and so much more, think Marquet. That's mar-k.com. Hey guys, are you about that life? That air it out lifestyle? You know how good those laid out rides look, right? Well, AccuAir offers premium air suspension solutions for you and your ride. They have products in stock ready to ship, or you can buy from your favorite dealer. So give them a follow on social media for any product updates and anything new coming out in the future. AccuAir.com. It's that easy. AccuAir.com.
It didn't mean anything else as far as TAC was a separate option. There's one more thing that they would have, and it was in 71, they had a chrome tailgate handle. The tailgate handle is chrome on a Super. And then 72, they have a stainless cover on a Super. And sometimes you'll see those too on CST Blazers as well. But that was a Super thing. That was one of the things that came with the Super. Yeah, the wood grain is the biggie on the inside, on the wood grain, the glove box door, and bezel and whatnot. But I
wonder what they got. If you think about what you paid for 2 stickers, for two decals to be plastered on your bezel and your glove box. Now, granted, a Cheyenne Super emblem on your glove box door, it's pretty. I like it because you get the cool scrolling and love that little Western look to it. You might get buckets, but I think you could get buckets in a Cheyenne too, but obviously a higher trim page.
Yeah, buckets were a separate option. Yeah, and it's funny you say that because it's kind of something you play these trucks. I play these trucks a lot, and I learn something new every single day. And that's what I love about them so much, So early on I started playing, I was like, oh man, Cheyenne Super is just the best. So it's gonna have all the options and all the good stuff and AC and well, you quickly learned that it was just a trim package was all it was. And there's a lot of times you can find a Cheyenne Super out there that's a 6-cylinder 3 on the tree. It was hardly anything else, but it was a Cheyenne Super, and didn't have buckets, didn't have AC, didn't have anything to it hardly at all, Then you'll see just a plain Jane custom, just a base model custom truck with buckets, AC, tilt, tack, and it's just like, holy cow, And so it's kind of so cool about them. It's kind of like the don't judge a book by its cover, kind of thing, because sometimes the customs out there have got way better stuff than a lot of the Cheyenne Supers, and because they can always be more impressive. I did a spit episode on this, actually. I haven't posted it yet, but a custom can always have more options than a Cheyenne Super, because there's a lot of options that were standard to Cheyenne Super. So when it says Cheyenne equipment or Cheyenne Super there on the SPID, that means it came with boom 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 full foam seat, it came with dome, it came with all this different stuff as part of that package, so it can't list out on the SPID, but if it was a custom and a guy singly picked each one of those things, it had to be listed on the SPID. So you pop the door on that one and go, whoa, that thing's full all the way down to the bottom. Well, it's because you got to pick each item one by one when Cheyenne Super groups it together. So
it's essentially the value meal, right? So you're going to get the upgraded fries and the bigger drink and everything else. So once they figured that out, even like CST, that meant you're going to get so much stuff that you're going to get, and it doesn't have to be, individually picked. So, okay. So did you say K10 or K20?
I'm going for a K20.
All right, K20. And then bench or buckets?
Buckets for sure.
We're
let's go there. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going with a rear slider or rear solid?
It's new, so the slider is going to be nice. It's not going to rattle, so I'll go with the slider. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So now another thing is that you'll see on the K20s, and I don't know that it was really. I don't know that I think there has to be, but for the most part, they were all dealer upgrades. What are you doing for your fuel? Because you got to remember a lot of extra saddle tanks added, some by the factory, but I think for the most part, it was dealerships. And there's probably some 67 to 72 guys out there that are, know exactly there was 472 different ones ordered from the factory versus the dealer upgrade. But
Sure.
What are you doing on fuel? Are you trying I know we're in today's world, so you don't want any holes cut because you see so many side holes. So you just saying, hey, leave my stock tank and that's it.
Well, because we went 72, we lucked out because it was the only year that they had the factory auxiliary fuel tank. And it just kind of mimics a Blazer one. It's farther forward in the bedside, right behind the cab there. So late 71 into 72, you could get that factory auxiliary tank. My Longhorn has that option, and it doesn't work. The tank's all rusted out, but it's nice it's there, I guess. Better than not be. But I'm going to go for the 72 auxiliary fuel tank 1 year only.
No. When I've seen that, I feel like it's on the driver's side. It's not on the passenger side. So it's like they added it on the driver's side behind the rear wheel, and you'll see like a Blazer up high, and it's sitting up there, and then it goes on the inside and down in.
Yeah. The reason why was because of the toolbox bedside, which is another option I'm going to pick. And your gold one had that, didn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. I did sell, but it has the toolbox. I'm not a big toolbox, but I love that you're a toolbox guy. So we got to add toolbox. All right. We got to get the toolbox in there. We got the slider, tilt, tack. Are you going with tilt and tack? Of course you are.
Oh, both. Yes, both. Of course.
All right, give me your gears. You're ordering this thing brand new, dude. So what gears you running?
Well, I'll just go with the standard 411s with the Eaton in the back, but I want the no spin, the factory locking rear differential for the back.
Okay. Why not?
And the front posi too, the front posi traction, which is probably one of the rarest factory options in a 67 to 72 front posi traction.
Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Maybe some window vents. Those might be a dealer upgrade. What else? Let's see. You've got the tilt. You got obviously we're going to do AC, and of course you're going to do AM FM.
AM FM for sure, but I don't want the AC. It's already cold enough here in Washington.
Really? No AC.
No AC.
Man. Man, you're gonna love my 72 K20 because it's a no AC truck and it drives me crazy. So yeah, I'm gonna that dash is getting cut. Someday that dash is getting cut.
Sure, you got to throw it on nowadays. It's nice.
Okay, so now I think we've got a pretty good. Is there anything really dealer wise that you're wanting to add to your Spid?
Well, I don't want to leave out manual throttle, the manual pull throttle on the dash.
Okay.
I want that in there, and then tow hooks. Got to have the front tow hooks. 72.
Oh, of course you do. You just the upgrade, man. That's the only time you could afford them back then.
They were $9. They were $9 option. I bought a service truck from a guy here locally in town. He bought them brand new, and he's like, "Yeah, those things cost like $9." Yeah, they're worth $1,000 now.
Yeah, somebody repops them. They remake them, right? It's a guy that does it, and he bends them. I can't remember who it is. Somebody on.
It's my buddy Gabe Bosma, Rusty K5.
All right,
Rusty K5, tow hook guy. Yeah, and he does a good job. And see, the thing is, there's misconception. For the longest time, there was a lot of bad ones out there, bad repops. They're just cast iron. It's like a cast iron like exhaust manifold. So you pull on that, it's brittle. It's gonna break.
Yeah.
And Gabe's the real deal. They're forged steel and they're strong as can be. I have a few sets on a few different trucks, and I pulled some stuff around. They're the real deal. Gabe Bosma, Rusty K5 makes those.
Awesome. What else? What else are you adding on your list?
Oh man, you're putting me on the spot. I know I'm forgetting something. I want that toolbox. Oh boy, rear chrome bumper. The sports style bumper in the back.
Did we determine, are you going orange, and are you going orange and white, or what do you, and trim, and where are we at on that?
Yeah, definitely orange and white. Or actually, I have to say it'd be a toss up for me. I could definitely go for an Ochre truck too. Ochre and white, bad. I'd say black, but they just didn't make them. You'd have to special order it. There's no black trucks. I've always wanted a black.
You're at the dealership, dude. You could order your truck right now.
Well, man, I had to think on that one. You put me on the spot, man. That's a hard choice. Oh, cab lights. I'm forgetting, man. I'm looking at
of course, cab lights.
Yeah, I went through the trouble of I swapped out the whole entire roof skin on my truck here, my orange one I'm looking at right now, and I had to have them. You got to have the deal, the factory cab lights with the raised pocket.
You're motivating me right now. I am gonna have to find me a cab skin top just for that K20, because for the audience, just realize 67 to 72, that cab light truck has actual formed metal for the cab, whereas like square bodies they don't. And so
same lens, the same lens as square bodies and later trucks after. It was 69 to 72. They had that raised pocket, and the best place to find one is on a 30 to 60 series, because at that point they were standard,
like a grain truck.
Find some old rusty one of those out in the junkyard, and a guy could just lop the top off of it, if there's nothing else good. And that's the best place to find one, is off one of those.
Yeah, and you got to think there's so many there. The audience growing up in Montana, still going back to Montana. You up there, those grain trucks are still running and gunning. I mean, they're still working. They're still on the road.
Oh yeah, no, I love it. I've got my shop here alongside the road, and so in the summertime there's lots of farms local and whatnot, and there's old Internationals, and there's old GMCs with the Detroit, and I'm running up and down the road, and you just love seeing it. There's lots of that stuff still around here. It's just a different way of living, I guess, compared to the city. But lots of old trucks still around.
Okay, so your truck is ordered and it's coming in. Okay. Now we're gonna jump to today. So you still got it. Okay. So your grandpa Brown ordered that truck. He's like, I know my favorite grandson Jake's gonna want this truck, so I'm gonna order it this way. And we're so much alike. So now you have the truck. It's in decent shape. Motor's bad. Did we talk about motor? You just going 350 or you going big block back then?
Well, I'm going to go with the 350.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get a 454 in that truck, right?
Yeah, no. You could get a 6-cylinder or you could get a V8. I'm going to go with 350 for mine, 4-speed.
Okay.
354.
So because it would have been a 402 is what it would have been. But I don't even know I don't think they put 402s in the 4-wheel drives.
No, they didn't. Yeah, it wasn't until the square body years you could get a big block and a factory 4-wheel drive, because the motors are set farther back against the firewall in a factory 4-wheel drive 67 to 72. So the big blocks didn't really clear, and so it was they just did the small blocks. And also, they knew the small blocks were a better, tougher motor, and that's an opinion based.
Well, no, of a 396 board over 30 402 that you saw in the 71 72, I don't think anybody's going to argue that. I don't think anybody's going to argue that at all. Now, a 454 versus a 350, you might have some argument there.
Absolutely. Those big block guys, they are how do you put it? They are well, they're stubborn like me, man. They like their big blocks, and I get it. I'm a small block guy, though.
Yeah, they're opinionated on it. They're obviously going to stand their ground. And the good thing I like about getting a big block, and I'm sure you could order it this way, but is the Turbo 400. Having the Turbo 400, which, obviously you're going to get the MP205, no brainer. So you're getting the 350, you're getting the MP205, and then you're probably going to get a Turbo 350. I guess maybe you could have ordered, maybe upgraded to a 400.
In these years, the Turbo 350 was the only automatic you could get in a 4-wheel drive, and 1970 was the first year in the pickups. Before that, it was all stick shifts. You get a 69 Blazer with a Turbo 350. The very first year they made Blazers, they made 5,000 of them, and that was the very first run they did of Turbo 350s and NP205s as well. First year for them in Chevy trucks. But yeah, Turbo 350 was the only one you can get. And it's funny because. Man, I had a love-hate relationship with them. My Blazer has a Turbo 350, and it's that from the factory. And I probably went through about 6 or 7 transmissions before I finally got a good one. And it was my fault. I was driving like a jackass. That's the reason why. But that's besides the point. I hated Turbo 350s there for a while. I was like, man, these things don't hold up. Well, it's just not meant for doing burnouts on 35s, I guess. But when these were new, they came on little wheelbarrow tires. Little 29-inch tall tires. So. A lot less stress, rolling around and whatnot.
Well, that's what I love when people are like, oh, that new LS motor only has 406 horsepower. I can't believe it. These things had 165 to 180 horsepower. Are you kidding me?
Yes, I know. It's funny.
Okay, so now Grandpa Brown he's giving you the truck. Okay, cool. So the old 350's tired. It's the truck's in great shape, but it needs some love. Okay.
Yeah.
So give me 3 to 5 things you would change with that truck from 1972 to 2022. So now that you know, and it doesn't have to be GM, it doesn't have to be any specific manufacturer. What is the Gold City truck special? What is Jake gonna do to this 1972, possibly black, possibly ochre and white, possibly orange and white? What's he gonna do? So give me some upgrades that you're gonna do. Carte blanche. You got money, time. It's all you.
Well, it needs a lift kit, man. I mean, old Chevy 4-wheel drives need a little bit of a lift kit, you know. And if it's, let's say it's my truck, you know, or my style, I think is cool. So I'd probably want at least a 6-inch lift on it, you know, and it's got to have a certain wheel. It's got to have some slot mags on it, man. And with some slot mags, you know, at least a 4-inch lift, maybe 6-inch, maybe 8, something like that, you know, jacked up. And then we're getting there, you know, and all the suspension kind of gone through. And I'm going to keep the small block. I'm a small block guy. I mean, it worked there. It was in there for 50 years. And why not? Just rebuild that motor and get it running right and everything, and get all the mechanical sorted out. And let's just say this was a real solid truck still. Well, let's just buff out that original paint, you know, and kind of spit shine it up with what's there. And they're only original once, right? You know, I mean, fresh paint's always better if it's, you know, going to sit side by side, but they're only original once. And original paint's a free paint job too. They already did it.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and hopefully nothing's hidden, right? That's what we worry about. Somebody sent me a picture the other day. He's like, "Hey, this guy's selling this truck. What do you think?" And I'm like, "Send me some pictures," right? So the first thing I see, I'm like, "It's painted. It's worth $5,000 less just because he painted it at, you know, X amount." Okay. So I got 6-inch lift. I got slot mags. Absolutely. Now what size tire and what tire? 35s?
35 BFG mud terrain. That'd be
okay. Now, are you running 15-inch wheels or those slot mags 15? Are they bigger?
Well, because now you can get them. Those new 17-inch from US Mag. I've been running those on a few trucks, and they're pretty nice. You know, you're not bad with 16.5. You know, tire dilemma, which I still do in other trucks. And so it's just
my God, the 16.5, that's a whole nother podcast. Everybody's like, you're like, I find the sweetest weld wheels. And I'm like, nope, not buying a 16.5. Nobody and their mother wants a 16.5.
I know.
Okay. So we've got 3 upgrades. We've got a 6-inch, we've got slot mags, and then we've got 35-inch tires. So you got 2 more things. Are you keeping it carburetor? Are you going fuel injection? Are you there's got to be something in there that we've got 2 more modern upgrades. Are you going to keep the original cluster? Are you going to go Dakota Digital? Are you going to go anything modern?
Well, I think the only thing I would maybe touch on being modern, I'd put a 5-speed in it, NV 4500, or maybe one of those new Tremec transmissions, those new TR 4050 or whatever they're called there, would be pretty cool. So get an extra gear, a little happier on the highway. But
so when you say like NV 4500, you're saying manual?
Yeah. I would do a 5-speed manual to replace the old 4-speed. Would be my choice. That's what I got sitting here on the bench for my truck. It's just I'm lame, Ronnie. It's not in that truck yet. It's just sitting here.
You're being a slacker. You're wasting your time talking to me. So fuel injection, keeping it carb. Where you at?
I'm a quadrijet guy. You know, I like an old, you know, and now if I was going to build the motor up hot enough, you definitely want a Holley. That's the hot rod carb. But for anything, you know, quadrijets are really good 4-wheel drive carbs too. They got that tall, you know, single bowl centrally mounted, you know, so you get bounced around the rocks out there with Edelbrock, and they start starving out, you know, and they make truck ones, you know, better ones, you know, for that and whatnot. But really, you know, apples to oranges comparing the two, you know, quadrijets are really good 4-wheel drive carbs. They hold their fuel well on inclines and whatnot. So the 4-wheel drive K20 or K5, I want a quadrijet on it. That's what I want. Man.
I think Chelsea's going to have a matching Blazer to your K20. So I think you guys are going to just have the Blazer and the truck and build it, you know, the way you guys want it. So I think you've got one really rad ass truck going here.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, I need to get off my butt and finish it.
It literally sounds a lot like the truck that was hanging on my locker, the picture. I'm gonna find that. I look forward to it. I sure still hope I have it, and I think I do.
Sure.
Okay, let's jump into your spit episodes. I think lately there was I don't know, within the last month, you went on a tangent about the GMCs and the leaf springs and the coils, and I would tell you that I would have lost that. I was in that camp. I was in, hey, if it's a GMC, it's a leaf truck. A leaf truck, not a coil truck. My son has a 66. Of course, it's leaf, and we are converting it to coil. But I kind of felt like you were wrong, but I feel like you must be kind of right, because you were really passionate about it and you probably did some research. So let's talk a little bit about the spit episodes and what you do there, and make sure we're putting people that are listening to this is like, what the hell is he talking about? A spid.
Yeah.
So again, a spid is in the glove box for 67 to 72s. Unfortunately for 73s, the first year of the square body. And since you're not a big square body guy, do you know where the spid is on the 73 square body?
I don't.
Well, I can tell you it's not in the glove box. So where else have you seen them on trucks when you and because you're not as big a fan of those trucks, but they're on the inner front driver's side fender.
Oh, yeah. I actually did buy a square body once this last summer. I don't know what I was thinking, but I did. I bought it, and I passed it on to my good square body buddy Devin. It was a 76. It was a black.
Well, in 76, they're going to be back in the glove box. Just happens to be 73.
Okay.
And it might be 74, but it's I don't know, because my Blazer is 74 and it was in the glove box. So I feel like it's just 73 Yellowstone and a few other 73s that I hate it because then it has even less of a chance of surviving. Whereas, in the glove box, the only thing you get some writing, little Ronnie and little Jake are writing with their pen, and and you're like, God dang it, why'd that little snot-nosed kid? Yeah. Sometimes it'll be painted over, and you can actually, maybe salvage it. But okay, service parts ID. So that's what it stands for. SPID. I always just call it a build sheet. There was a time in my life where I would not buy a truck if it didn't have a SPID. I was that much of a, we were that lucky back in the day. I was a snob. I was like, I'm not buying a truck. If it doesn't have a SPID, I'm not buying it, because I don't know, but those days are over.
Yeah. Show me the SPID, man. Right.
So what you do is how did you kind of come up with this and explain to the audience your SPID episodes?
Sure. Well, I don't collect a lot of things. Like, I'm not a coin collector or stamp collector. I'm a glove box store collector. That's what I collect. And so I've had a decent number of these trucks. And, whenever I'm at a swap meet or anywhere somebody's house plays trucks, if they got a glove box store lying around, I try to buy that thing. I don't care. I mean, if it's got a SPID on it, and preferably original paint. I just like glove box stores. They're cool because, if the rest of the truck ain't left, my glove box store is all that's there. It tells you the story of the truck, or at least half of it, what it was and how it was new, and so I just like them, and they're cool, just kind of, they're fun to reference and whatnot too, and they can teach you a lot about these trucks, and I was with you. I used to always think too that GMCs were standard with leaf spring and coils optional. That is there's such a common thread across the board. And a lot of the information on the forum will tell you the same thing. There's guys going on there arguing, but if you put the facts where they're at, the GMCs were also standard with coil. They all were. You never see a SPID say rear coil suspension. You'll never see one say that. It'll always say rear leaf spring suspension if that's optional, because it was optional equipment and coils were in sense standard, So your SPID on a two-wheel drive says nothing about leaf springs because it was standard with coils, and GMCs are no different. And so kind of what I dug into a little bit, and I am no expert on those trucks one bit, but I think the GMC leaf spring kind of idea might have been started earlier in the 60 to 66 years. And that might have been something they were, bragging about. Oh, hey, we're leaf spring trucks and we're tough, Well, it went away. And so by 67 to 72, again, they were standard with coils. So I don't know if that kind of lived on and people kind of held that to be true with those ones as well, but it's just not, and it's, the more trucks you have, there's a lot of GMCs out there with coils, just as there is Chevy, too. And what it really kind of came down to was where the trucks were made. You know, I mean, the trucks were made at X amount of plants, and it is hard to, you know, go back and really look at GMC numbers and whatnot because the, you know, as commonly known thing, the records were lost in an office fire. So we don't know how many Jimmys they made. We don't know how many long beds they made. We don't know anything about, you know, GMC production numbers except for ones that are made in Canada. So they're kind of hard to reference in that sense, you know. But one thing is like the GMCs, they didn't make as many as Chevy. We know that. And they only made about so many plants. Well, it just kind of is this plant, you know, here in Fremont. Well, they got a whole bunch of leaf spring frames. Well, that's what they were making for a while then by standard, you know. Let's use up those leaf spring frames and then we'll get on to the coil spring ones. Even though, yeah, that's what the factory picked, it still was optional equipment and the buyer paid more for the leaf springs, even if that's what they made it with, you know. It was optional and they paid more for it. But yeah, it's just kind of a funny thing about these trucks, you know. I mean, like I say, for years I thought that, and then I kind of started doing some digging and looking. I was like, well, wait, how come this GMC has got coils? Okay, what's going on here? You know, and you kind of got to Scooby Doo it, you know, and the SPID don't lie, you know. That is the ID. I mean, that's the little truck came with. That's everything about it right there, you know. It's like our birth certificate, you know. Where was Ronnie born at? You know, boom, boom, boom. You know, this many pounds. You know, this height. You know, I mean, it's everything. It's the truck's birth certificate right in the backside of the glove box store there. You know?
Yeah, and I love a SPID. I love a good SPID, and I love a bunch of glove box stores. And like yourself, I've got a whole bin of those things, and I'm going to give you a little. I'm going to give you a little idea here. And I got to imagine that you've thought of it because I've seen them. You've got them kind of posted up. But what I wanted to do, and I did it at my old house, and I haven't done it at this shop. But what I wanted to do was, if you think about I want to put SPID out, then I want to flip it, and so if you do that, they'll intertwine, and you can make a whole backsplash of just glove box doors because if you got SPID facing every other one, and then and it'd be cool if you could get like some Cheyennes and some customs and some stuff that isn't just a plain glove box door. But yeah, they're cool, and I'm surprised sometimes that you'll go to a swap meet or something, there'll be like six of them in a little milk crate, and you're like, how'd you get all these freaking glove box doors? And you don't see it quite that much anymore. The old pickers used to just pull them all and sell them for 10 to 20 bucks. But yeah, you gotta love that birth certificate and that ID, and it tells you a story. And so what you do to kind of just continue along that line, not specifically the GMC one, but as you kind of like to go through it, and you do like a little episode on your IG saying, hey, let's have some fun. Let's break this down. Let's see what it has. And let's look at this truck.
Yeah. No, I just, I noticed before, and I've kind of posted some before, some pictures, some SPIDs, and it's always, you know, a good reaction from the real nerds. I mean, I'm gonna point him out right now. Tremaine, he's real nerdy like these trucks, just like I am.
Tremaine was a nerd before. He's a nerd. He's just a nerd anyway. So Tremaine, you know? I love Tremaine.
When the SPID talk comes out, you know, it's just always a good conversation. There's such good conversation pieces. And so, you know, every time there's a SPID picture, I love talking about these trucks with people, you know. And so, you know, Tremaine was posting there for a while, some pictures and whatnot. And it kind of got me thinking, you know, I was like, what if I did some episodes on these? I got a bunch of these doors lying around, you know, and it's just, they're such, you know, they're just cool, you know, there's a lot to learn from them. And every time I open one, I learn something a lot of times, you know. Oh, hey, look at this truck came with this. And they called it that. Like, you know, it's kind of funny, like in the earlier trucks, you know, up to about 70, they called it all weather, you know, air conditioning sometimes, and you'll see it get called also 4 seasons air conditioning, you know. So there's just so many different names for the same thing, same option code, just funny stuff, you know, and they're just great conversation pieces. So that's kind of where it came from. I was lugging these things around. I was like, you know, instead of just looking at these myself, let's let everybody else look at these things and let's talk about them, you know. And it's been fun. I have a good time doing them, you know.
Yeah, and you get a good reaction, and it starts some commenting and some banter and some different discussions. So at the end of the day, it's so funny because that's really what the forum is. You and we and the group, we've taken that to the social media platforms, whether that be Facebook or IG, and you know, it's. I love the forum. I miss the forum, but I don't have time to be on the forum the way I used to be. And it is such a great wealth of knowledge. I hope it can someday. I got a feeling we're going to be doing a little fundraiser, GoFundMe for the forum or something like that, because eventually I feel like it's probably going to I don't know. They'll be like, we can't keep these servers. We can't keep paying for this. Yeah. But I say that, and it's been, I mean, hell, I've been doing this pod. We're starting our 9th year, and it's going. So it's still live, and which is good. And it's a wealth of knowledge for the younger people out there, and even older guys like me that are like, what? Let me see how to put that together, or I want to research that and figure that out.
Yeah, it's a great reference point. There's tons of people on there and lots of pictures of trucks and trucks torn apart, trucks going back together, and just a lot of times you got a question, you go on there to look, and there's a good answer, or 15 of them, So it is good. And when I had my El Camino in high school, I was a member of an El Camino forum, and I liked that. When I went on there, at night I'd go on there, and it's just kind of a little bit slow paced. You know what I mean? I like the modern social media, you can just hop on, make a post, look at this, look at that, boom, you're out. You know what I mean? And the forum is more like a committed effort. You got to like open the computer and, go on there for an hour and, and lots of reading, and it's like a lot of reading. I like, Instagram, Facebook, it's pictures, you look at the cool pictures. And then,
yeah. It's funny. It keeps your brain. It's like, oh, look at that. A walking forum is Tremaine. I need to actually add him to my list of guests, because he not only is he charismatic, he's very knowledgeable, and he'd be fun. He'd be a fun guest to have. So I will add him to my list and get him on for sure, because love me some Tremaine, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's got a lot of parts too.
But what's funny is every time he calls, or we do talk maybe once a year, it's going to be a 2-hour phone conversation. It's just going to be, so it's like, if you're going to answer it, we're going to talk for 2 hours, and we both are committed to that too. We're like, okay, you know what? Let's set aside 2 hours to talk about trucks. Yeah. So, I really enjoy it a lot.
You might look at your wife and you're like, babe, I can't pick this up right now. Well, who's calling? Oh, it's Tremaine. I gotta make sure I've got 2 hours set aside to get caught up with Tremaine.
Oh, I get it all the time. It's funny. Last year, I bought a truck from a guy. His name's Brian Elliott, and he's a good friend of mine. He lives over on the coast. It was kind of a funny deal. He had a 71 Cheyenne C20, kind of a parts truck he was selling. And it was a good deal. And so he posted on Facebook. I messaged him on the Facebook marketplace, said, hey, can I call you? He says, yeah. I call him. I said, hey man, I'm 5 hours away. Like I was explaining to you earlier, I'm 5 hours away, because he's over by the coast. I'm coming over. I'm buying that truck. He's like, oh, okay, cool. I'll take it down. I was like, I can be there. It's Monday. You know what I mean? It was like the Wednesday prior. He's like, yeah, that's no rush. Sounds good. And so he took my word for it. And then ever since we went with that, it was kind of funny. Like the day beforehand, on Sunday, I ran to another little town, and I bought probably one of the best trucks I've ever bought. It was a 1972 Cheyenne C10, and it was all original, long bed, light yellow, had 38,000 original miles on it. Super cool truck, called the 38 Special. Kind of buffed it up and ended up selling it to Canada, went to a really good home. But it's super cool truck. So anyways, I just buy this Cheyenne, and it was funny. So I messaged the guy, Brian, because he likes these trucks. I haven't met the guy yet, and I'm going to buy his the next day. And I sent him a picture. It's like, hey, I bought this today. And he's like, oh, so I guess you're not coming to buy mine then? And I'm like, oh no, dude, I'm coming tomorrow. Like, he's like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, he thought that I bought one. Like, oh, you already bought one, so you don't need another one. I was like, no, you don't understand, man. I'm messed up. I'm gonna buy yours too.
I got a problem. Yeah, I just wanted to show you this sweet find that I got, but no, I'm on my way. I'll be there. Don't you worry.
He's like, oh, okay, cool. And so I go over there and meet the guy, and best friends ever since. So it's one of those kind of funny things. We get talking on the phone, going at it, whatnot, and it's kind of funny. He will even admit it. I know he will. He's got some really cool trucks, and he kind of started to dabble with them a little bit. And then we met, and I think I'm kind of a bad influence on people. And his 72 Blazer is also here in the shop, and it's undergoing a large amount of work as well, a lot of rush repair and whatnot. He met me, and all of a sudden, a few months later, he's got a Blazer, and he's got this and got that, and he's been buying trucks like crazy. And he's brought some pretty cool ones home. He just got a little 72 GMC short bed 4-wheel drive from California. He actually got just recently, and
you are a bad influence. Cool you're a bad influence for sure.
I am.
Your dad, your wife, your buddies, they're all like, Jake's making me do it.
I'm beyond it. They don't even try anymore. They're just like, okay, whatever, let him do his thing. I guess.
What's next for Gold City Trucks?
An employee. An employee is what I really need. I got a mountain of work here to do, and so
There's nobody in town.
You
You need to find the young version of you. You need to find the little 18-year-old Jake Brown.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
Is that something that obviously is a goal? Is that something that is that hard, or are there guys up there that are that would make the cut?
Yeah, I mean, it's something someone must be really passionate about it too. You know what I mean? Because there's days where it just sucks. When you're cutting apart rockers, laying underneath the truck, and overhead welding, just whatever you're doing. There's days where it really sucks, and so you have to be passionate about the trucks, and you don't have to be as passionate as me, but. I love to find someone who's, passionate about these trucks and, hey, I'd love to find someone who's better than me. I don't got to teach it all, right? Get somebody on here who really knows what they're doing. I mean, I love to show someone or teach and just, I just, if you ask what's next for Gold City Trucks, it's just making things better, doing what we're already doing and just being better at it. How about that? I guess that's a way to put it, but, yeah.
And right now you got about 5 to 7 customer builds and 2 to 3 Dad and Jake builds.
No, the thing is that many customer builds, like you say, I mean, I'm looking at my truck here in the shop and I hardly ever touch my own stuff. I just can't. There's just no time for it. It doesn't pay the bills, But yes, there's only so much time in the day, so got a mountain of work ahead of me, and I'm getting there myself. But it'd be nice to have an employee, and I keep on bugging that brother-in-law I was telling you about before. He works for CAT. He's got a good job. I'm like, can you quit your really good paying job and come hang out with me and build trucks? He's like, well, that would work nice, wouldn't it? But no, and so because he's with it. He's a really good wrench and really passionate about these trucks. So he's the guy. I gotta keep on bugging him, and maybe one of these days he'll come hang out.
Yeah, you got to give him some skin in the game. Do you ever find that back when you were working 40 to 50 hours, some overtime at the Budweiser distributor possibly, do you ever look back and think, man, I had so much more time to work on my stuff, and now I don't have to work on my stuff, or I can't work on my stuff, but at least I'm getting to work on stuff, and I'm just that much happier obviously working on stuff and customer builds and I mean, it's the balance.
Yeah, well, no, you really hit it right on the head there. I like all trucks, even if they're not mine, so I get a lot of enjoyment out of building someone else's truck, and so I will say, yes, I don't have much time for my stuff, since opening the shop and whatnot, but it's okay because I still, I'm not deprived over here. I still get to look at 72 Chevys all day long and work on them. So yeah, no, you totally hit on the head there, and it's kind of funny because going back to kind of the Budweiser thing or the old day job, I'll have a really bad day here. Let's just say I keep on smashing my thumb with the hammer. It's just bad. It's going bad. I got a metal sliver in my eye. Just the worst day here. I'll drive by that old beer truck and see that delivering town. I'm like, you know what? Hey, today's all right. I ain't doing that. You don't realize how much you don't something until you quit doing it. And
and you're living your best life, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you've got and you are a really bad influence on all these other guys because they're loving it, and maybe they didn't have the bug, or maybe they did, and then life goes on, but now they've got an outlet, and you're their drug dealer, dude.
Yeah, it's I guess that's a good way to put it. And honestly, as Brian, that same brand, he was a forum guy before, and he had one truck, and kind of like played around with a little bit here and there, and kind of liked a little bit. Yeah, he's got like 6-7 trucks now, and it's like his wife's looking at me like, thanks, like thanks a lot, it's your fault, but no, it is.
We create our own bubble in the world. It's funny because if you did think about how many trucks, like a lot of these guys, a lot of truck guys, and it's not just manufacturer specific. It's not just the Chevy guys. It's not just the Ford guys. It's not just the Dodge guys. It's like, well, if I got 1, I want 5. And if I got 5, well, then I might need 6 or 7. And so it's definitely not just you, not just me, not just, everybody out there listening. You got 1. It's funny how they just multiply. They're like gremlins. It's like, gotta have more.
Yes, no, it's funny. I mean, I have a friend up in Canada, and he built a cool little C10 pickup, and I told him, you ready? Because it's going to get a lot worse. You're going to want more. and he's like, oh, okay, what? Okay, and all of a sudden, it's about a year later, he's like, I really want to get a 4-wheel drive now, so it's just kind of funny. He's like, I told you, they're addicting. You can't have just one, but
That's
yeah,
it.
no.
That should be the it's like Lay's potato chips.
Yeah.
You can't just have one. So, all right, Jake, I'm going to take you out. Anything we didn't hit? Anything you want to add?
Gosh, Ronnie, we're talking about my fire truck.
Yeah, the big yellow it's a GMC, right?
Yeah, and maybe this will get the word out there. There's one more of these things somewhere. They made 2 of them. So if anybody out there is hiding this thing, let us know about it. We want to see it. And the big GMC, the factory of NAPCO 4-wheel drive conversion. There's supposedly built 2 of them, and I've been after it for 10 years. And
was it local up there?
It actually was ordered brand new in Aptos, California, Aptos Fire District, and it somehow made its way up here to little old rural Washington. I've known about it for 10 years since they kind of first got bit and got the bug. And I was like, man, that's a cool truck there. I'd like to get that truck, and always thought it'd be really cool. Factory 4-wheel drive with a diesel in it, and the guy, he was kind of an odd duck, and sadly he passed away. He was a real, I don't want to sell it. Get out of here kind of guy, And anyway, sadly he passed away, and he willed to his sister. Well, luckily she liked me, and she was like, yeah, I'll sell it to you, So that's why I ended up getting it after chasing it for 10 years. And he always did. He did tell a few things about it. He said it had a diesel in it. He's called the Detroit. It's got one of those Detroit diesels in it, So if we're here for 10 years, I was thinking, it's got a Screaming Jimmy, 2-stroke in it. Well, ended up making a deal, drag over to the shop, pop the hood. I'm like, what the hell is that thing? That's not Detroit. It's Detroit green, but it's a ToroFlow factory diesel. And it's kind of funny you just said, there's Chevy guys, Ford guys. There's GMC guys too, who are GMC guys, because at one point they had their own motors, they had their own drivetrain and whatnot, and that's a GMC motor. It's a GMC V6 and it's a diesel. And so I kind of went down that rabbit hole, and it's kind of funny. I almost kind of discovered another little group of truck guys there who are really into those V6 motors, gas and diesel. And I kind of have the I wouldn't say most sought after, but probably the most rare one, the ToroFlow 478, the big one. And so I'm kind of like, hey, what's this thing? Here, help guys. And I had a really hard time finding a starter for it. The starter was missing, and it was just kind of funny because it's a Chevy. It's a Chevy parts. You get a water pump on the the corner store at the the grocery store. Or you get parts are everywhere. But not always the same case for GMC. And kind of taught me a lot. But anyways, this old fire truck. So I thought you'd appreciate that one.
What would you do with that thing? I mean, I know you guys romp it out. It's a 4-wheel drive. You have so much fun with it. Is that something that you just keep because it's such a rare truck, or what are you gonna do with that?
It's a hard one. I love for people to see it. I have a show up here every year, and obviously it gets showed off at my house. And love for anybody to come hang out at the party of the show. But I'd love to get it out there and have some people see it. But it's different. It's like one of these trucks, like kind of said earlier. The same cab having the same doors. But it's huge. I mean, this thing is. Until people see it in person, they realize how large this thing is. So I love to get over to Northwest C10's, one of those shows, or or maybe something even a little more south, Dino's or something like that. But it's quite the undertaking to get something there. You can't just hop in it and drive it. I mean, you could, but it's going to take you 4 weeks to get there. Things done at 55 miles an hour, and it's just huge. So I'm trying to find a way this next year to get it out and to get it so people can see it, because it's a cool truck. And
is it a 4-speed?
No, it's an Allison automatic. Actually, it's an Allison automatic. Yeah, and it's got 6 forward gears, and it goes down the highway, about 55 miles an hour, but it's done. But I'll tell you what, it's not exactly the most comfortable vehicle, not a long trip vehicle per se. My shop is just 2 miles from my house, so it's perfect for that commute. And any longer than that, it's like, get me out of this thing, But
is the Oroville Fire Department like a volunteer, and they're like, hey, buddy, we want to add you to our resource list?
Well, it's funny. I got a lot of other buddies who are local, who are on the volunteer fire department, and one of them, my good friend Connor, he helped me go get it. And sadly for that sense, all of the fire truck stuff was pretty much gone. Only thing left was a water tank that was on it that I actually removed too, because it was rotten. But someone ripped all that stuff off of it already, so it's not much of a fire truck anymore. It's just kind of remnants of what was, but now it's just kind of a big shop service truck, but definitely get it out for all the local parades and all the local stuff, like around town and whatnot. But yeah, it's a big beast. It's definitely one to see. I'd love for people to see it. It's kind of funny because everybody that sees it, So funny little story I'll tell real quick. An old timer came up. He bought some parts for me. He bought a tailgate from me, and he's a super cool guy. He's I think he's in his early 80s. And most people who are into these trucks can see and go, "Oh, that thing's cool." You know what I mean? And I drove to the shop. He pulls up. And he just loves 67s. That's his thing. It's a 67. And he walks right by it. I mean, he like almost didn't even see the thing. I'm kind of like, "Hey, check it out. You like it?" And he's like, "That thing? What the hell's that?" He's kind of like, "What the hell is that thing supposed to be?" And I was like, "Well, it's an old fire truck." He's like, he's kind of looked at it, he's like, "Huh, whatever." He just walked away. So it is kind of a funny one because it kind of is some people either really like it or they really, whatever, they don't get it, But it's one of those ones too that, it's like everybody can appreciate it, but the majority of people out there playing these trucks, if they want something, they want a short bed. They want a short bed two-wheel drive. They want a Blazer. You know what I mean? They might like that big truck or that big grain truck or whatever other one, but they don't want one of those. That's a really big hunk of shit to bring home to the wife. How are you going to convince her on that?
You got to have property, and we've got. I know some guys that collect fire trucks, and they got like 4 fire trucks, and you got to have a lot of property to be driving around or storing fire trucks for sure. They're big. One thing that you guys, because you're dealing with a lot of the K10s, K20s, the bigger trucks, the Blazers, that's funny about that, and maybe when you do work on your dad, I think it's a calico looking C10 because it's got so many different parts, but working on a C10 sucks when you're used to working on a K or K20 or K10 or K20 because you just can't even fit underneath the damn thing. And then you guys are like, man, there's so much room here.
Yeah. If you got to do, tune up or anything on the top end of the motor, C10 is great. It's low. It's all easy access pull. The motor's farther forward. It's just all right in front of your face. But let's say we're going to drop the transmission pan and change the fluid. Oh man, what a job on one of those. You got to jack it up. You got to move it around. You're rolling around, and it is kind of funny. It's totally different.
When you're working on the top, I'm jumping up. If it's a 4-wheel drive, I'm jumping up. I got my knee bent over the core support. Maybe my foot's like barely, it's almost going to slip off the bumper. And then sometimes, depending on the AC situation, everything else, you're like, I could get my foot in here right by the exhaust manifolds into the frame. Oh, thank God I can sit here now. And then a 2-wheel drive, you're just leaning over it.
Or you're when a 4-wheel drive, you get up there in the front of that grill and the hood latch support is cutting your stomach open,
just right
and
in
letting your
diaphragm. First world problems for sure.
It's just a little bit. Oh, I almost got it. You're like, I'm literally think I'm bleeding. Like, get me off of this thing. Like, oh, geez.
Yeah, reaching back. You're trying to do timing. You're moving the distributor, and you're leaning over, and you're like trying to tighten the dog bone bracket, and you're like, and then the freaking you, and then you get, and then you go to take a shower later that night, and your wife's like, "What the hell happened to you?" And you're all cut up and jacked up.
Yeah. It's always that hand you're not paying attention to. The fan, and it gets to go, oh shoot, you're like, oh nice, got me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, so the audience, you guys can check him out, 72 Okra_CST. He's got parts, he's got knowledge, and he's building some really rad stuff. And the biggest thing that I tend to kind of just love about what you do is not just that you have your friends, some that you might have had before and some that are new, but you guys go out, you guys wheel, you guys document it, you guys throw it on the IG, they're out in the snow, they're mudding, and they're just having a really good time. And I tell you what, if I was a 72 K20, man, I'd want you to own me. I know that you're going to take that thing out. Now I say that, and you're saying your project hasn't been worked on in a few years, but I know you're out ripping, and I know you're out having fun, and that's really what it's all about, Jake.
Yeah. Yes, no, for sure. And that's the thing I love about these trucks is using them, using them what they're intended for, and then some. It's always fun to drive them and put them to the test. It's just.
Do you have anything that's not a 67 to 72? Do you guys have like a daily, maybe mama, maybe you, or is it like, nope, it's all I have?
Chelsea's got a little Trailblazer, a 2006 Chevy Trailblazer, and it is it's a major piece of shit, and I hate that car.
I had an 02 for a long time, and we farmed our kids around, 3 kids in the back, and we ran that little thing all over the place. I think it was I'm trying to think, was it the 4.2 liter?
Oh, 4.3. Oh, you had the S10 Blazer. You had the 4.3. Yeah. Oh no, you had the Trailblazer with the 6-cylinder in it?
No, not the 6.0. No. That would be like the SS. No, it was an 02.
Oh, it is a 4.2. It's a 4.2 inline six. That's what my wife says.
Okay.
Too.
Yeah. So
right. Yeah,
didn't do the best on fuel
some
mileage, but
yeah. The motor's got some poop to it. That's for sure. They're a good run little motor. But
so the i6 does. The i5 they put in the Colorados, if I remember right, in the Colorados and the Canyons, and they sucked. But the i6s were a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just too weird. 5-cylinder Chevy. That's some Audi stuff, you know. And yeah, it's too funny. No, we've got that, and I got my old El Camino still, and I've got a basket case of a Corvette project. But other than that, it's old trucks. If I'm gonna go anywhere, it's in the old truck. We just took a 10-hour, more than that actually, round road trip in the old 72 GMC to go up to Canada to grab some parts for a buddy. And I don't know. It's kind of funny. You know, a lot of people think, "Oh man, how do you drive these old trucks around?" I was like, well, that's what people did back in the day. You know, I mean, it's not the best way to do it. I'm not going to tell anybody that, but it works. You can drive them, you know. And
you know, the biggest difference that I find is just that it's when I do drive, like let's say I'm going to take a 500 mile trip. The difference is my buddies, or let's say if they've got all LSs and whatnot, they're going 80, and I'm like. Yes. Maybe 71, 72. I got a buddy of mine. He doesn't go over 60. And you're like, dude, let's go. So that's the biggest difference is these trucks did, that's how people got around, but they went 55. Yeah. And so if you can do that and you're content with going 55 to 60, then all day long. But unfortunately for me, that's tough for me. I can barely sit still as it is. So
I went down to California this summer and grabbed a truck down there. And I took my Longhorn down there, my shop truck. The 72. I towed one down and took a Suburban to John Brito and picked him up my way back. And it was quite the trip, you know. I think it was a little 2,500 miles, maybe 3,000 miles, and it's a good trip for that truck. And you know that thing's 65, 70. It's you're pushing. It's got 411 gears in the back, and stuff. And it did that happy, but it was I was towing, so I was happy for that. But there was a lot of times where I thought I was just cooking along down there in California. Here comes this Dodge with a fifth wheel and 4 cars on the car trailer, and just goes by at 95 miles an hour. And you're like, okay, I'm not going that fast. Just not a chance. It ain't happening. But yeah, no, you're definitely not going to spend too much time in the fast lane. That's for sure.
Yeah, not anymore. Not for sure. Well, if you can make it down to see John, then you can definitely make it down to the Intervention, Woodland, California. Yes. So hopefully we'll see you out there. Maybe you and a couple of your crew members and your favorite brother-in-law and your buddy from the coast, and get a group of you guys, make a little road trip out, and we hope to see you.
Yeah, that'd be great. It's been in the talks. It's been in the works for sure. We're trying to decide which one and where to go, and we definitely want to make it down there and show up for a southern Chevy truck event. It's definitely on our radar. It's in the works.
I need to get up there, to be honest with you too. If I go to the C10s on the Capitol, which I always give Jen a hard time because it just happens to be a tough time of the year. If I go, you're my first call, and if you're not going, then I'm not going. So I'm gonna hold you to that.
Keep in mind, Northwest C10 is also a good one if it drives with your schedule again. It's a different time. I think it's a month or two earlier. It's in Enumclaw, Washington. And then also keep in mind, at my house, Ronnie, my truck party. Not the biggest show in the world, but we'd love to have you out. We always have room for you.
When do you do that?
This year it's on the 1st of July, the Saturday before 4th of July. It's always around that time. It's our
so let me challenge you this. What's the closest airport to get to Oroville, Washington?
It is in Wenatchee, 3 hours away, and I'd pick you up.
Okay, yeah. That'd be fun, dude. We're going party. Man.
We had about 50, 67 to 72s out this last year. Lots of 4-wheel drives. Some of that 4-wheel drive action you see on the page was from us playing around out there. Had a good buddy from Iowa drive his 71 K20 out. Had another buddy from Pennsylvania fly and then drive a truck home. Another buddy from New York came out as well too, and guys from Oregon and all over and in between, so had a really good turnout and a good time. And not the biggest show, but again, like everything else, some of the best people, and we always have a good time with it. But
like we always say, the trucks are cool, but the people tend to be just that much cooler. And it's funny, not that you've caught every episode of C10 Talk, but this is probably about 4 or 5 years ago. We're at LST. And I'm trying to think. I know it's Ben, but I can't remember his last name. I know his truck. Daisy's his truck. And we're sitting there, and Here comes Ben, and I think it's a 71 Okra long bed, sweet patina. He's got a camper shell on it. It's on a 4.6-inch lift. He's got 35s, and me and my buddy were just like, that might be my favorite truck in this whole show. And you're talking 2,000 trucks.
Yes.
Do you know Ben? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Are you talking about Buddy? Aren't you, Buddy Miller?
No. Oh, no, not Buddy. I know Buddy and love Buddy.
Ben,
No, Ben is out of Louisiana.
Oh, Benjamin. Yes. Benjamin. Yeah.
His last name is like Ali. It's a French name. I can't. It's long and it starts with an A.
That truck used to be owned by David Freiberger.
Freiberger. Yep.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right there.
That's it. I love that
Stickers,
truck,
right?
man. So that truck, he hadn't made those stickers or anything yet. That truck comes driving by our booth, and me and my buddy just look at each other. And my buddy's and he lives in Idaho now. He's just like, I love that truck, and I'm like that, and it reminded me a lot of my first truck, my K10.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, if I had one that was like that, be Big Red. Everybody sees it in person, like, this thing isn't that nice. I was like, yeah, I could have told you that, because it ain't, just full of character and just the old 4-wheel drive truck that's been around the block. You could just tell, and sometimes those trucks just ooze the character, and they're just cool. You just can't quite put your finger on it. They're just really cool.
No, we can't put our finger. That's what we love about them, because they have all that character. So yeah, for sure. Well, Ben, a little shout out to Ben and Daisy. We love that truck, and I can't remember his little boy's name, but he would be right there with them camping. Then he ended up having 2 or 3 more kids, and life does what it does. So
K10 Club, I think, was his thing, wasn't he?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
I think he might have changed it, and I'd see him every now and then, but I haven't seen him, and I didn't go to LST this year. So yeah. All right, Jake, I'm gonna let you go. Stay on the line here. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and spread some love.
Well, thank you, Ronnie. Honestly, it's an honor. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Got it, brother. All right, hey, guess what? Merry Christmas.
Hey, right back at you.
All right. There you go. A little Jake Brown taking us out in 2022. Have a great week. Be safe. Bring on 2023. Take care, guys. Late.